Okay, so I'm gonna start out. Got this document, walked myself through it already. Make sure I can get this under 10 minutes. But got this file, notesexample.ai. Got it all set up. Got bleeds. In fact, I made this black panel up here darker than the bleed. Got several tints of two different spot colors. So here's Pantone 124. Screen back, not use the opacity but the screening, 71%. Then I've got 110%. This text I could do white and make that white, which is the paper. That doesn't count as a third color, whereas it did in screen printing. But in this case I just made it Pantone 124, 20%. Got black, 100% black, just straight out of the color swatch palette will be fine. Several variations of that black, 61% there, and a lighter variation down there. Nothing spectacular as far as design goes, but it fulfills technical requirements, just to illustrate what I'm looking for technically. As far as this bleed, like I said before, you can make it bigger, but it's never a good idea to make it less than 1/8 of an inch. So you can see this, in this case I've made it bigger. You might have something that's round or something that's non square like in nature for you guys to use for your bleed. If you want to do a bigger bleed, that's fine. Um, I'll show you how to take care of that later on. So I've got that, I've saved it. I want to walk you through how to save it. In Illustrator we just go File, Save As to save it as a PDF. Pick PDF, desktop, I've already saved one, so I'll just go ahead and replace it. So in the options here, you can go ahead and change that. The Illustrator default or high quality print is what I like to use. Go to the marks and bleed section, turn on trim marks, registration marks. We can leave the color bars off and turn page information on. Use document bleed settings, which were set to 1/8 of an inch. If that says 0 when you do that, you got cause for concern. Go ahead and save it. That's the PDF. Okay, now that I've done the PDF, we'll open the Illustrator file back up. So, notes example. First thing I do when I'm done with that is we'll get ready for the 2-up. So we'll go Save As. In this case I've already got one called 2-up, so I'll just go ahead and save it, change the name, and replace it. Now I have a completely different file, and you notice I'm using CS4. Haven't quite switched over to CS5 yet. So we're pretty well started. The next thing you need to do after changing the name to the 2-up version is we need to mask off this extra bleed. Since didn't cover that, I want to cover that here. So what I want to do with that is I want to draw a new rectangle the size of the final trim size. That's the size with the bleed, 4 3/4 by 7 1/4. That'll include the bleed edge on both top, bottom, left, and right. So once I do that, I can select everything, Command A, Control A if you're a PC, Object, Clipping Mask, Make. That handles that, cleans it up nice, gets us ready. So once I've got that, I can go ahead and start making it 2-up. So to do that, we want to go to Document Setup. We want to change the artboard. So at this point, we need to double that size. We need 2 of them. We'll make it 9, but we also need to add in the gutter for the bleed on this side, and the other side, the left side of the other one we're copying in there. This design is symmetrical, wouldn't really matter, but we're going to put it in anyway. If it was non-symmetrical, if you come across a notepad like that, you're going to have to do it anyway. We're just going to assume that's the standard template because I want all the notepads to be the same when we cut them down. So we put that in there and hit return. That'll expand our size. So now we can come back as soon as we select the selection tool. That'll hide the artboard areas. So now I can go ahead and select that. Should all be grouped together to move that right over into place. Down a little bit. And having a tough time lining it up. Okay, got it lined up. So at that point, you can come in and go to Object, Transform, and Move, or same way, same things, double click the arrow tool. And in this case, we want to move that, and we could eyeball it as well, but we want to move that 4.75, the total distance of the whole notepad. And the angle we want it to be 0 to move it to the right. And I've got the preview on just so I can see it, and we'll hit copy. And if you've done that, you should be okay. Now after changing the artboard, our measurements are going to be changed. So we'll need to move those over. I think in CS5 that automatically changes for you. But in this case, we'll move that 0 edge down there. We could move it down on the bottom if we want. And we need to go ahead and hopefully we can select this guide. We're going to clear guides. We're going to go to View, Guides, and we're going to clear the guides. Hopefully clearing them. There they go. So now that we've gotten rid of the guides, we want to come in and put this at 4.5. Okay, and remember you may need to reset your 0 point to get an accurate measurement. Now that we've done that, we also need to go to File and Document Setup, and we need to adjust our bleeds. We want those to be 3/8 of an inch, 0.375 on all of them. Okay. The reason for that is we want to be able to get our bleeds in here, or not our bleeds, our trim marks inside that area and still be offset, not touching our bleed. So I'm going to hold shift and drag that down and try and get that to 0.125. Okay, I'm going to make it long on purpose. We can make it a 1/2 point stroke. And I'm going to make sure my point of origin here is in the very top and change that to 0.125. Definitely want it to be 0.125. Then we'll go ahead and select that. I'm going to view guides. We can actually clear the guides or lock them just to get them out of the way. So at this point we need to go to Object, Transform, and Move. And we need to move it to the other side. So we're going to move that one 0.25. And we will copy it. We can hit the tab to update that. Make a copy of that. Okay, now we got 2 trim marks there. Now I've turned my bounding box off so they don't get in the way. I don't even know where that is. It's Shift Command B is the shortcut to turn that bounding box off. Sometimes that gets in the way when you're trying to select these. So here we're going to copy those and move those down at the same time. We could use the Move tool, but we'll just eyeball it. It's a lot faster. We'll hold the Shift key and the Option key, which moves and copies at the same time. Now that you've got that, you've got your 2 up. We can hit Command S to save it, or go up to File and Save just to make sure it's there. We can go to File and Document, let's see, File and Save As, and we can pick PDF from here, save the PDF on the desktop there. Should get another dialog box here. Once again, you can use the default. I prefer the high quality print. Switch it to the high quality print first, then come back and change these settings, turn trim marks on, registration marks on, page information on, and use the document bleed setting. Make sure your bleed encompasses the trim marks or they won't come through when you make your PDF. Trim marks will automatically do the corner marks, so we didn't have to worry about those particular ones. Save the PDF and we're good. We can bring that up, and when you print it you want to turn those same things on. 2 up PDF. Here it is. There's your marks, your trim marks. Print out 25 sheets like that, bring it into class, and we'll cut them down. And that is the Notepad project. Let's see. We don't want the internet. Let's see if I can bring up the printer. This may or may not work. It may be 10 minutes for the printer. Oh, pull up quick. So just to show you the marks, I switched the orientation there. Do not scale. Make sure you do not scale when you take it and have them printed out. Don't scale it. Marks and bleeds. We can put trim marks, registration marks, and page information. So that will add in your trim marks. If you've named your document, the name will be printed on these. So that's your setup. Separations. Make sure to remember, turn on your separations. You should only get your 2 colors there. And that's pretty much it.